Hey everybody, welcome. This is Big Chonis. Great to see everybody here in the chat room. We are going to talk about Bitcoin. We are going to talk about what's been going on with these crazy moves. And I think we're going to definitely take some chart requests as well. Let me just get set up here and we will be on the way. There we go. Hello everybody in the chat room. Okay, so last night we closed with a very great, very bullish candle last night. We hit, let's see here, 9,700. Very impressive. This whole move here has been just crazy impressive move here. And then what happened last night? Well, we had this tweezer top and this really nasty red candle today, which basically a lot of people seem to wake up to this morning. Pretty brutal. I hope a lot of people did not take a lot of long positions last night when it seemed like 10,000 was maybe the next kind of step along the way. Let's see here. We can see that let's see here how I sound there. Pretty good. Okay, so we can see basically that we're trying to find some sort of support here. We're trying to find some sort of a bottoming moment here to see if we can basically find stop the bleeding and continue to rally up a little bit. Basically what we've been looking at here, what I've been looking at here, and I use GDAX here, this was screaming to me this morning about how right here, which is the orange line on the EMA 12, you have this super bounce this morning. Now see how the EMA 12, which is the orange line here, has been basically riding, all the price action has been riding above it over the past 2 weeks, not even coming close to touching it here and here. So I've been waiting for this entry right here where I knew it was going to touch the orange line this morning, and that's when actually I took a position in Bitcoin. You can see on the 6 hour, basically same deal where it touched here and broke and couldn't find any support there. And now we're basically hovering around the blue, which is the EMA 26. I'd really like to see the EMA 26 hold there. If the EMA 26 does not hold, then we're definitely going to test the low 8,000s, basically 8,400 looks like our next support area, looks like, because that's where we topped off here. I'd love to hold that. If we can't, then definitely 7,800 could be in the works here. So we'll see how we're going. Looking at the order book, I have the aggregation down to $1, and we're basically seeing that we're trying to get a little buying pressure going here. We're kind of watching this through the day. There's been a lot of fake outs, a lot of buying at the moment, and then a lot of selling basically there on after. So there's still a little hesitation right now into, is this price area right now a good entry point? We zoom into the 1 hour here and we see that now the EMA 12, which is the orange line, is currently acting as a resistance line here. It's pretty interesting here because if we are able to break that, we're definitely going to touch this blue line here as 91.63 and see if we can basically break that and find support over that as well. 15-minute here, we kind of got this daisy chain thing happening here where we had a great tweezer bottom here. I think a lot of people saw this tweezer bottom on the 15-minute this morning and felt pretty comfortable entering in a Bitcoin position. You also see the volume bars here kind of shaded in the background here, which basically shows that there was a lot of let's see, volume here when the selling, everybody who's selling here, a lot of people are just scooping up Bitcoin at these prices here. Now you saw the test here where we put in that higher low, and which has allowed us to kind of bounce up here to back over 9,000. And now we're kind of trickling down here into looks like this nice kind of little falling wedge consolidation here. I actually do expect one more pop up, and what I'm looking for right now is this area right here, right around $9,200. I'd really like to see a touch around $9,200 here, and then I think from that point we're going to get much more of an idea of how strong this bounce really is. because I'm not entirely convinced that the correction is over yet from our highs of last night. Let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin Cash. Kind of blast through these, and I'll take your chart requests, guys. Nice to have everybody here in the room. So, this is one that was just, super, super overbought and basically had just an amazing run over the past, a couple weeks there. And I put a tweet out about yesterday's candle where basically it put this super nasty long wick shooting star, and I'm very not surprised obviously that today's price action is very red. Now you see on the daily, you see how high we still are over this orange EMA 12 line. This will hit. I am expecting this will hit at some point. Probably not today. It might take a couple days, but I personally don't have any interest in this one until we actually are able to correct right around that EMA 12 area and kind of see how the market plays out, and see what kind of a bounce situation that might provide. It's going to go into 6 hour here. Now here's an example here where the EMA 26, which is the blue line, held, broke a little bit there, kind of a bear trap there, and then boom, nice hammer here on the 6 hour, and now we're trying to find a little support here, but now we're being rejected by the EMA 12, which has acted as support this in the whole way through, but now we're seeing it act as resistance there. So we're going to see basically how it corresponds to that. Take a look at Ethereum here. Now let's start with the daily. Now obviously just a beautiful epic run there, and look at that, like to the money. It just bounced, hit the orange right there, and bounced squarely off it. That's where I was sitting as well for an entry point this morning. I just knew it was gonna touch there. And right now we're putting in a couple bearish engulfing candles on the daily chart here. Day's not over yet. We still have about 4 hours or so left in the day, so we're kind of see how this plays out. Can the bulls step in and push this a little higher and make it actually a nice hammer candle instead of just a bearish engulfing. We'll zoom in here to, let's do our 6 hour. Now same deal here. You see where the blue acted as support, broke it again. Nice beautiful hammer candle there that's now holding above. So currently the EMA 26 on Ether on the 6 hour is definitely acting as support. We'll see how that plays out, and just go down to the 15-minute. Same deal here. We're now riding on both these here. I do expect one more pop higher. I'd like to see a touch of maybe 664 to 666 area, which corresponds to where we were here, and kind of see how the market reacts to that. And take a look at Litecoin here. On the daily, same deal. Now this is interesting. Litecoin has been a little more bearish than the other ones there. So I'm actually seeing how close the orange and blue lines are here. I was actually expecting a break of the orange, and the blue was where it would kind of be support. And basically, sure enough, oops, turn it off. That's where we had hit this morning around 140, 139. I actually had some buys set up between 137 and 140, and so I was able to fill some of those there, and kind of seeing how this plays out here. Now I want to show how the EMA 12 on the 1 hour is definitely acting as a lot of resistance here. It really hasn't even had a chance to touch it yet. I do expect it to touch and maybe even break. And if it does break, then I do expect the blue 152, which it's at right now, to be tested. I'm not, as I said with the Bitcoin, I'm not entirely convinced that we have corrected completely from our move to, 9,700 and to our Litecoin move top off last night at somewhere around 165 area there. There could be one more kind of corrective pattern down there. So like any smart trader would, once you get a good entry, I like to basically start scaling out some profits and basically locking in some of these gains and basically preparing myself for the next really good trade opportunity as well. So those are kind of the big four there. Take a quick look here at the Bitcoin chart on the daily, a little more in depth here. We see this wick here. We see basically, it was fully engulfed and very in an oversold area. What I was actually watching this morning was the 1 hour chart, and see right here how the RSI got super oversold there with a nice, just way oversold there. That's where a lot of people took some entries this morning, and actually put out a nice V bottom there on the 1 hour chart in this morning's price action here, and that's kind of what we're seeing on this nice bounce here. This is going to basically bounce around here for, I would assume, the better part of the day. Right now, there's really not a lot of fear and conviction that we're going to drop some more, and there's really not a lot of buying pressure as well that we're going to push up super higher here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we keep kind of this sideways pattern here through much of the day and kind of see how the market plays out and goes from there. So that being said, take a look here at the chat room, and I'm going to take some of your chart requests, and let's see what everybody wants to talk about here. Okay, let's see here. All right, ICX. We will start with ICX. And this one is only available on Binance, something to keep an eye on there. Not all coins are available on all market places here. The more coin is on other markets, Bitfinex, Binance, Bittrex, the more exposure, the more money flow, a coin can definitely have in it. So when there's a coin that's just available on one exchange, you got to keep kind of your perspective in check there in terms of how much volume can definitely come through to it. So we'll kind of look at Icon here on the Binance exchange here, and we'll take a look here. I remember I put out a tweet on this about some resistance area here. Yeah, look at, okay, so right here we can see that in this zone here, basically the 47 to 4500 Satoshi area, a lot of history here. This area back here acted as a great support, broke, tried to get above, rejected. Same deal here, broke, tried to get above, rejected, and now we're back, broke, tried to get above and rejected again. So it's just having a pretty tough time here, trying to break this area here. Now, what's very encouraging is that we're back here again. So the more we basically attempt and try to break through this area here, the better chance we actually have to do it at some point in the future. We definitely seem to put some sort of a cup and potentially a handle happening here, which we might basically consolidate a little bit lower here and then get kind of that momentum pushing to push up here and break this resistance that has acted so back since February. On the daily chart here, we have the stock RSI has been pretty toppy for a while, but that really hasn't seemed to matter as long as the RSI hasn't been super topped off. Now we can see that the RSI was a little bit rejected here by this 70 area, which is denoted as that kind of overbought zone there. So we're still kind of in this nice uptrend. We definitely are consolidating here. Take a look at the 4 hour here, and we see basically a bunch of nice long wicks here showing that every time the price gets pushed down, the bulls battle back and are really not prepared to relinquish this here. So we got a really good price support here right around the 41.50 area here. I'd like to see that hold. The uptrend basically is still intact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. But definitely there could be potentially another correction, maybe a C wave correction down. And if that happens, I definitely would like to hold right here, which is around 3,700 area. So those are my views on that. And we'll go to the next one here. Let's see here. Okay, so many to choose from. Let's do SC, Sia coin. This is actually one I keep an eye on here. Now, this is one that's apparently on a lot of exchanges here, which is good. Kind of take a look at the Bittrex one here. Current value at 223 Satoshi. Now, all right, this is kind of interesting here. So we have the daily chart here. This is another one of those coins, excuse me, that had a parabolic move back in the first part of the year here, topped off at 666. That's a little ominous there. And basically has been consolidating ever since. 1, 2, you could argue that maybe this was wave 1. This was our basically wave 2 consolidation. This could have been our wave 3 top, or we actually could have some more room there. We really haven't corrected here. We're almost kind of bouncing around in this area here. So this definitely could be more of a continuation here from this wave 3 impulse here. I like the fact that we're basically not going below 206, and we're not going above 241 here, kind of in this zone. The longer we're able to keep in this price zone here, the more bullish I would be for this coin, because it basically shows no one really wants to sell sub 200 and will allow it to basically make that nice little push higher. Indicators, stock RSI is resetting. I like to see that. OBV is basically remaining pretty constant there. I like to see that. And you see here how the RSI was overbought over here and basically got rejected down to here. So basically this one just needed to cool off a little bit. The chart is definitely still in play. You see how it almost wanted to touch the EMA 21 there on the daily, but never really got close to it there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of this kind of sideways consolidation here until we can find some more direction. I guess the bearish case would be, it is possible this could be putting in some sort of an M top here. See that right there, and if that was the case, then you basically would see kind of a drop to sub 200, maybe right here. 188 would be a good support area, corresponding with these 3 wicks back here. So definitely want to keep an eye on the chart. Definitely still remains bullish and in play. All right, who wants to do TRX? Right, everybody wants TRX. Okay, so TRX. Now this one has basically been a very nice mover here. I've been talking about this one for a little bit, putting out a bunch of tweets on it as well, how we've had this really nice, actually let me go to a different exchange that has some more price history. There we go. Okay, that's better here. So yeah, I mentioned a couple of days ago a tweet that we were putting in this nice bullish flag here. A flag basically has parallel lines, whereas a wedge or a triangle or a pennant would basically be these 2 lines would be touching at some sort of an apex. But this basically was very bullish, and the market responded very well and bounced very strong off of that zone there, and we topped off right around 830 or so. Now you see how we consolidated here in the 4-hour with this pretty nasty long wick there down to 711 and shot back up in this beautiful hammer here. So that's a very bullish move there. The previous 4 hours after, or the past 4 hours after that, have also been very nice, very green, very bullish, where every time we kind of break through, the bulls basically surge back in. Now on the daily chart, let's see here, the stock RSI definitely been toppy for a while, still showing some bullish momentum. OBV is still super strong. People are buying and holding Tron, it seems. But look at the RSI here. We are in this way overbought zone here. We basically were here twice and got rejected, and now we're back here. So for me personally, this kind of feels like a little toppy still. It feels like we definitely want to kind of find some more correction here. On the daily so far, we have 2 back-to-back pretty long wicks here, even though we are green. So if we are going to push a little higher up here, I wouldn't have too much conviction that we're going to go that much higher before we actually have a little more of a substantial correction. On the 4-hour chart here, let's take a peek here. Similar, we have, again, RSI. I mean, look at this. This is very hot, even for the 4-hour chart. Stock RSI is trying to reset. The OBV is super strong, so people are definitely holding this one as well. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Take a look at a couple more here. NEO, N-E-O. Use the Binance exchange. Where are we here? Neo, there we go. Okay, I'm going to start with the daily chart. And let's take a look at the indicators here. So, okay, interesting here. So the RSI is actually not that hot right now. It's actually kind of dropping here, not overheated. I like how on the daily, the stock RSI actually looked like it wants to reset, which is very good, and slightly turning bullishly there. When the blue basically crosses back over the red, that's a bullish indicator there. Not there yet, but still kind of almost looking like it wants to kind of turn over there. OBV has remained pretty strong throughout all this. What do we see here? We see a bottoming. We see a very nice impulse move there. I don't know. Maybe we're putting in some sort of a head and shoulders in the bear case. Hard to really say. Definitely, if we're able to hold. See, you see how it basically broke the 200 EMA here, and that basically signified an oversold position there. That's why a lot of bulls were able to come in and push it back over. So I would like to see this kind of hold in this area. It'd be nice to see a couple days or so of some sideways price action to consolidate the gains we've seen here so far. But so far, this one is definitely not overheated. It definitely shows it could have some running room ahead of it. Look at the 4 hour here. And this is a great example here of, see all these wicks, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is an example of the bulls just wanting to keep this price higher. Every time we drop pretty significantly here, the bulls roar back and we're able to hold this like 8,000 or so Satoshi range. That's why we're currently in this green candle in this current 4 hour time period here. So this is a little bullishness here that says, whoa, we kind of oversold here. If people were able to get some entries here in the 7,800 area here, seems like a kind of a nice spot. I'm trying to figure out why we bottomed here specifically. I mean, there's definitely some history here, and oh, look at, there it is right there. Okay, so right here is what it bottomed off on, so that's interesting here. So that's good. That basically shows that the chart is still in play there. 4 hour RSI definitely cooled off. So this almost feels like it's resetting here on the 4 hour, and definitely looks a little more bullish than it had over the past, day or so when it had this really nasty fall here. So definitely want to keep an eye on this one. Looks pretty good. Take a look at a couple more here. OCN for once, please. All right, OCN, you got it, my man. OCN. You sure it's OCN? Maybe it's ONC. I don't see an OCN. Let's respell that one there. All right, we'll come back to that one. Let's look at ADA. ADA, where are you, ADA? There we go. Okay, this is ADA, otherwise known as Cardano. So we'll take a look here at some indicators. RSI, very cooled off here. I like to see that. Stock RSI, look at that. Bullish cross here where the blue is crossing on the red. That's a bullish indicator. It's also reset there. This is the 4 hour here. Look at the daily. Yeah, see, the daily shows we're still actually haven't completely reset here. Trill's trying to come down bearishly. You see how high the RSI was here. We're in that way overbought zone. Actually found some support for a second spike. Look at that, the double top, like to the T right there. And now we're basically coming back down, and we're actually finding support right here on the RSI, which we had found support previously. So it feels like we're trying to basically hold in this 3,000 Satoshi range here, which basically corresponds to this whole area here we've been trying to hold above ever since we broke it on this really nice green candle here. Go to the 4 hour here, get a little in-depth here. Similarly here, we see that the 100-day EMA has acted as support through the morning here. 1, 2, 3 tops here. We definitely have a very nice wicks here showing that the bulls stepped in here, here, and here to hold the price at around 3,000. That's also why we're seeing this kind of nice green candle here. But you see that the 55 on the 4 hour is now acting as resistance. So until we can get over the 55, which is around 31.13 right now, we're definitely not going to be able to go much higher there. Wouldn't be surprised if we see kind of a little more sideways consolidation here and try and hold this area as much we can if we want to put in another leg. However, we kind of are putting in some sort of a head and shoulders-ish looking pattern here. So we'll kind of see how this one plays out as well. Take a look at a couple more here. ZCL. Let's see. Is that Z Classic? ZCL. Yes, this is the one I put out yesterday about the rocket ship. So this one kind of went bazonkers yesterday, where we had, well, let's kind of zoom back in history here. Very nice mover, huge move, super dump. Like, this is just epic dump. Now when that happened, of course, everything got super oversold. On the daily, you see how low the RSI was and how low it stayed all this time here. But now look where it is. Now look how high the RSI is. That's an epic move there. Very quick, very fast. Stock RSI has been topped off for quite a while. OBV is very strong here. So even though we've had this epic move here, people are not really selling yet. And kind of what we see here on the 4-hour, you know, I like the consolidation here. I like the fact, excuse me for 1 second here. I'm back. I like the fact that we're basically really trying to find some consolidation here. This was an epically green candle yesterday. And obviously you would think a lot of people would want to take some profits in that. You know, in the 4-hour here, we kind of have this other nasty wick here. So, you know, it's overbought. I mean, I'm just from a pure technical standpoint here. I just can't see how much more this will go. I mean, the RSI there, that's crazy high right there. But there's a reason that this is kind of finding its legs basically on how oversold it is. So this is possibly going to keep churning higher here just because of how oversold this is and how long this consolidation period was from like beginning of March literally till, you know, 3-4 days ago when it decided just to shoot up like a rocket ship here. Because we fell so far, I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of are able to continue to move closer here. The hourly basically shows, you know, 1, 2, 3, or maybe this is a double top, kind of a truncated fifth wave. It is possible. As long as we're able to hold kind of this nice moving trend line here. Let's see here. What is this? The 50-day? Yeah. Keep an eye on the 50-day here. And which one is this here? 21-day. So the 21-day on the hourly chart has been support here, here, here. Here where it broke, the wicks held above and held above. So the 21-day has acted as support through this entire nice run there. If it does touch again, I wouldn't be surprised if it holds again. But if it breaks through with conviction, then we're definitely will be testing these other EMA indicators here. The hourly chart basically shows, you know, not really super overheated yet. 4-hour, kind of the same deal. You know, a little toasty here on the hourly here, but on the 4-hour on the RSI, but not terrible. This one's tricky. You know, it's only available on the Bittrex exchange. It feels like it was just super oversold, and now it's basically trying to kind of equal out that equilibrium in the price action and see if they can kind of push higher to get to, I don't know, somewhere closer to where it had been. But this one's going to take a while. Let's see here. Any more. P-O-A. Okay, so this one is on Binance. Start with the daily just to get our like wider perspective here. So a couple things here. RSI looks pretty good, not too overheated. OBV is very strong. People are holding this one long and strong, it seems. Stock RSI has also reset on the daily. So 1, 2, 3. These are very bullish indicators I'm seeing here on the daily. Let's take a look at it here. We're basically clearly holding in this 5,800 Satoshi area here. See where we topped off here? That actually added good support as to why this candle found support right there. We wanted to keep it higher than these bars here as well. So wouldn't be surprised if we kind of chug around this area here for the next couple hours or days or so until we're able to kind of put in that next little momentum higher here. Go to the 4-hour, go in a little closer look here. Stock RSI is reset. RSI not too overbought. OBV is basically holding strong. We see how it had a nice bounce here on the 4-hour on the 200-day EMA. That's very encouraging as well. We like to see these indicators get hit and basically show support. Another example here of the bulls basically were able to kind of hold this steady as they tried to push down several times here. Have this really nice candle here, and then it kind of gave it all back. But this actually I don't really see as a bearish candle here because almost like a I can't even think of the name there. Basically shows that this price level here of support seems to be pretty strong, somewhere in the 6,300 range there. So, keep an eye on this one here, but definitely seems like it's still pretty bullish. And because we have the RSI is and how the stock RSI is reset, definitely could have some room to run. XRP, never heard of it. Let's take a peek here. Okay, so Ripple. Okay, all right. So this one had a great little run there. We topped off at almost 11,000 Satoshi, which was pretty great. You see, though, when we did that, how super high that RSI was there. I think a lot of people hopefully were taking profits when they saw how high this was and how quickly it got up there. Basically, you see how quickly it rises, how quickly it falls. So I wasn't really surprised. You kind of saw that epic rise followed by that epic collapse pretty quickly there. We're seeing the stock RSI resetting as the RSI resets as well. And we're definitely seeing the OBV. A lot of people basically took their money and ran. 4-hour chart basically suggests, keep seeing this a lot on the 4-hour charts here, where the bears were trying to push this down, and the bulls were basically able to kind of keep it strong, hold suit, and right now we're holding right around 9,000 there. So can we hold this 9,000 area here? Why are we holding this 9,000 area here? Where do we bottom here? Yeah, see, look at this very bottom candle here corresponds to right over here in this price action here. So 85.50 basically is the price where shows that the chart is still intact and still bullish. If we were to break this 85.50, 8500 area, it would actually basically show a bearish sentiment on the chart and basically kind of some sort of an end to this nice impulse higher. Until then, the chart is definitely still in play. We see the RSI definitely corrected very nicely on the 4-hour here, much lower. I like to see that. And the stock RSI is reset as well. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bunch of sideways action until we can kind of build another momentum point to, if we want, take this a little higher, but we'll see how that goes as well. We'll do a couple more here, guys, and then we'll call it a day. One coin. One chain. Let's see here. So we'll go to the daily chart here. And wow, I mean, just a massive runner here. Not a lot of, wow, just massive run. Stock RSI is very bullish. OBV is very bullish. RSI a little toppy here. Let me get a different. Oh, it's only on Binance. Oh, okay, that's why. Okay, so this was a new coin here. It's not super a lot of history. It looks like it's only been out for a month. So yeah, I mean, this has definitely been a very nice runner here. This one's tricky though. Without a lot of price history here, it's hard to kind of get a gauge on where this one might be headed, other than the fact that it's just very bullish and basically has been riding the 50 55. Pretty constantly basically since a couple of weeks ago. The RSI is not very toppy and people are definitely holding on to this one here because of how well the OBV is holding up. So this one is definitely still bullish. If it were to break, I'd say 67 area. I kind of have a different perspective on the chart, but I like how we're holding in this zone here. Longer we're able to kind of hold on this zone, it will give it a lot more of a strength area and consolidation on the price, and will allow it to push a little bit higher. Let's take a look here. Verge, our old friend Verge, XVG. Okay, so we'll kind of start with the daily. So we see how RSI over here, super over hot, super overheated, has come way back down there. I like to see that. Stock RSI on the daily has completely reset down here. I like to see that. OBV, a lot of people obviously took some profits in this nice little pump here, but it's actually still pretty strong. Kind of zoom in here on the actual price action here. Definitely seeing this super nasty wick there I put in a couple days ago when basically the news came out. By the rumors, sell the news. A lot of people took profits here. This was basically a nice runner over the past couple days. Get rid of that pitchfork. And what we're seeing here is we're able to find support support on the 100-day where it broke it and basically is able to hold above it right now. I'm not fully convinced this one has corrected fully from its run. I do like to see this nice little impulse here on the 4 hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nice 4 hours, about 20 hours in a row of some nice upward momentum there. So that's definitely positive, but have we fully corrected? Looks like we're basically in this area here of price support where we were back in the beginning of April. If we were to break this, looking around maybe 600 area to potentially as low as 525 area would be our next level of support. So until a little more buying pressure comes in, I'm not entirely convinced this has bottomed. Taking all the news and all the pumpingness and all the hype out of Verge and just focusing on the chart, this definitely could be setting up for a very strong bullish move in the near future. If you could argue this was basically all of wave 1 here, this is all of our wave 2 retrace. Because of the size of this wave 2 retrace, wave 3, if there is one, could be pretty epic. So once this basically has had a confirmed bottom, there's no reason to me to think that the chart is definitely not in play and definitely has some more life ahead of it there. Definitely see how they kind of pump it in the future and see if it has some more Momo in it right now. Might be worth doing a little scaling in every once in a while in these prices here, but I'm not entirely convinced we've bottomed. Maybe on the daily at 200 around 570 might be a kind of a place to see if it wants to touch that right now. But until then, it's kind of wait and hold on that one here. All right, we'll do 2 more and then we'll call it an afternoon. Ncash, a coin available only on Binance. Take a peek here. This is one of those newer ones as well. Looking at the daily chart here, stock RSI has reset. OBV is pretty strong, and RSI is definitely not overbought. Looks like it's been finding support. Let's go to the 4 hour here. Okay, interesting. So look at that. The 200-day. Wick, break, hold, push. So basically the 200-day has acted as pretty strong support on the 4 hour charts. I've noticed with a lot of these coins recently, the 4 hour chart has been much more accurate in terms of where things are bouncing off of the exponential moving average situations here. Look at that, very accurately bounced there, very accurately bounced there. So for now, I feel we may have found a nice bottoming area here because of how strong the 200 EMA is acting as support. This is clearly in a nice bullish upward trend here. I like how the stock RSI is reset where the RSI is not too toppy as well. So that's very good as well. All right, I'll do one more, Mike, MTL, and then we'll wrap up on the majors and call it an afternoon. MTL. Metal coin, not too familiar with this one here. So we'll go to the daily. So RSI not too terrible here, nice upward trend, definitely not overheated here. We saw over here back in March where it got way too hot and gave it all back, like we saw right here with these really nasty wicks. Consolidated, but look at when we consolidated, we were able to hold this very nice trend line here. So as long as we can hold this trend line here, this bullish chart is definitely in play. If we were to break that, it would basically change the whole situation. Go to the 4 hour, and similarly, keep seeing this on all the coins here where we have break, wick, hold, bullishness. So basically what's showing here that buyers were able to step in right around here, right around the 5,000 range, which corresponds to a lot of this price history over here. So this one is definitely still in a bullish momentum move, but I would definitely like to see the trend line kind of hold support. As long as this black trend line here continues to hold support, there's no reason why this can't move higher. Okay, so let's basically finish up with our majors here and we'll call it an afternoon. So Bitcoin, where we at here? We're back over 4,000, and we're back over 9,000 here for the moment. Let's kind of zoom in real quick to a 5-minute chart here, and let's kind of see what happened this morning. Why did we bottom where we bottomed, and where are we going from here? So look at that on the 5-minute chart. wick, hold, tweezer on the 5 minute. I was watching this morning the 5 minute chart because whenever you want to catch a falling knife, you want to be on a very low time frame because you want to see kind of that tick by tick move where you see that bottoming conviction buy volume start to really come in. And I think we kind of saw that right here this morning when we basically were in that 8600 area here. Produced a very nice upper candle here, or upper momentum here. Reset right here. I'm sure people got a little freaked out there, probably sold, but as long as we were able to hold right here, which was higher, pushed another one out here, and now basically we're kind of in this sideways consolidation period for now. Wouldn't be surprised if we're kind of attempt to get to the 200 day. Like again, there's only the 5 minute, but it gives you kind of a little sharper perspective on where we've been this morning, where we could go, and what would be our first areas of resistance if we go a little higher. 1 hour as well, we're basically seeing we're really trying to get, again, I'm looking for another top touch of that 9200 area. That would probably correspond to Litecoin being somewhere around the 150 area, and at that point there, I don't know what's going to happen next. I basically, I'm still holding some of my positions from this morning. I've been trying to scale out a little profit along the way. I'm not really prepared to get out of my Litecoin position on this until we get a little closer to 150, corresponding to Bitcoin's 9200 area. And then from there, I might just want to sit back and just watch and see what kind of market momentum we are putting in there on after. So that's kind of all I have for you guys right now. Thank you for joining me today, and hope to talk to you soon with some more chat analysis. Peace.